Well, hello, business building warrior. Welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. Thanks for coming along with me for a few minutes today. We're going to talk about all the different ways that you can get started selling on Amazon. Now, maybe you're not even considering selling on Amazon right now. Let me just spend a moment comparing this opportunity to all the other e-commerce opportunities that we've seen. Just drop some facts and data. Now, if you've been in our community for a while, you've heard me say some of these things, but it's important. Let's lay the groundwork. Why do we spend so much time talking about selling on Amazon when we could be talking about all kinds of other business opportunities around here? Well, it's this simple. We see Amazon selling, specifically the models that we train, as the lowest risk, lowest cost, lowest barrier to entry business model in all of e-commerce, arguably the entire world of business opportunities, with the highest odds of success. That's why we spend so much time here. Low risk, low barrier to entry, high odds of success. And I would add to that, bright, bright future. So let's give some facts, data, and evidence that help unpack what I've just said. If you're not aware, e-commerce represents still far less than 20% of all retail spending in the United States. That's right. If you added up all the transactions online today, everything everybody purchased on eBay, on Walmart, on Amazon.com, online, all the online purchases, all the Etsy stores, and everything else combined, it's far less than 20% of retail spending in the United States compared to people going to stores, getting in their car, buying things traditionally. E-commerce is in its infancy, in other words. Very bright future ahead. This is US government data. If you don't believe me, go ask Google, go ask any AI engine. It'll tell you the same thing. US government data tells us that the future is very bright for e-commerce. E-commerce is the fastest growing economic sector in the United States by far. It's growing very rapidly, but it's still relatively small compared to traditional retail. Over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, the game's really going to kick into full gear. Right now, it's in its infancy. So while we're in this e-commerce arena that's in its infancy, is there any one player that's dominating? Well, yes, there is. It's Amazon. Amazon is half the game at this point. Half the transactions in the United States today online will take place on one website, Amazon.com. It is a rapidly growing, ever expanding blue ocean of new brands, new products, new ideas. It's still being embraced and adapted daily by new shoppers and new brands and new sellers. All day, every day, it's growing. Clearly, it's growing. Now, am I saying there's no competitors out there? No, of course, Amazon has competitors. But if you add up the websites that are in second place, third place, fourth place, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th place, you add them all together, they still don't sell as much today as Amazon will sell today. That's how big of a head start Amazon has. That's how much bigger they are. That's why we spend so much time talking about Amazon, because that's where all the eyeballs are. That's where all the shoppers are. Here's one of the facts to drop on you. There are hundreds of warehouses in Amazon's network. You've probably realized that by now. But what you might not have thought of yet when you think of selling on Amazon as a reseller, selling everyday boring brands, which is what we're going to talk about today. What you may not have realized is in those hundreds of warehouses, there are millions of popular products that sell many, many times every day, thousands of times per month. But those same products are understocked in many of Amazon's warehouses, meaning there might be some warehouses that have adequate inventory, but there's a lot of other warehouses that don't have adequate inventory for any given item. Now, why is that important? It's important to understand this because once you understand just how unstocked and understocked Amazon's warehouse network is, you begin to realize how vast this opportunity truly is. Think of it this way. Shoppers today hopping on Amazon.com to shop, and many of them are very price sensitive and they're going to look for the best deal. A lot of other shoppers could care less about price and they want the fastest delivery option. And if the warehouse near them doesn't have any units of the product they're looking for, they're going to be disappointed and potentially pay far less than they were willing to pay for products that will arrive later than they wish they could receive them. Or, and there's no industry statistics that can help us with this. We've all done it though. We hop on Amazon.com, we're looking for a product, we find it, but it won't get here for 5 to 8 days. We don't need it 5 to 8 days from now. We need it yesterday. So we get in our car, we go to Walmart, we go to Target, we shop around, we find it, we buy it. Had there been an option to get that item to our front porch quickly, in some areas, many big cities especially, as fast as 20 minutes from now, yes, we would have paid more for that item. That's what I'm talking about, the underserved, understocked, or completely unstocked warehouse store shelves in Amazon's massive warehouse network. We've identified strategies for helping uncover what those products are and how you can send even just a few units at a time at really high prices, serving those customers who aren't looking for the best possible price necessarily. They're looking for the fastest speed of delivery. They want the convenience of the speed. And if you help serve those clients that are all but ignored on literally millions of products in Amazon's catalog, it's a wide open opportunity. That's not the point of today's podcast. I just wanted to set the table for the business model we're going to be comparing all these other ideas to as we move into this episode. All right, so the premise of today's show is all the different exciting, interesting, and somewhat valid ways that you can get started selling on Amazon and why I'm not a big fan of any of them compared to the model I just described. So we're going to compare and contrast the model I just described. Let's call that the replens, or replenishing Amazon's warehouse network with boring, everyday, easily sourced items and selling them at prices well above retail. That's the replenishing model that we teach. That's our 101 model. If you get into our training at provenamazoncourse.com, we're going to start you there. We have numerous people, hundreds of people, you've heard them, with 7-figure businesses doing just that model. And I would argue that model is getting better all the time. The tools, the opportunity, the pool of different ASINs that you can be selling against, different products, it's growing. So let's compare and contrast several other ways that you can get started on Amazon to that, the replenishable model. What else have you heard? What else have you seen? Well, some people, and let me just go through the list real quick. If you hop on YouTube and you say, I want to make money, I want to sell on Amazon, you'll hear some people talking about selling used books. You'll hear people talk about selling collectibles, going to yard sales, finding stuff that, oh, I didn't know you could still get that. Let's throw it on Amazon and sell it, right? So collectibles, kind of the eBay approach to Amazon is something you'll see. People go to stores and look for sales and discounts, and they scan barcodes and they look at the clearance aisle at Walmart and they go store to store and try to find stuff that's on sale, right? That's one model, the kind of the hustle and grind. Hop on that hamster wheel, get on that treadmill and go, 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 go. The more you go, the faster you go, the harder you go, the earlier you get up, the later you stay up, the more money you're going to make models, right? So those are out there. And I'm not denigrating any of these models. What I'm doing is I'm going to compare these models to the model I described at the opening of our show. Thrifting, hitting Goodwill, scanning barcodes, again, looking for stuff that's getting scarce and you're trying to find it so you can bring it to the market where there's high demand and make some money doing it that way. Again, an eBay type of feel, thrift stores. Private label. Now, that's a big one. That's very popular, and we're going to talk about that. Launching your own brand on Amazon, that's exciting. You've heard some success stories there. Let's talk about it. Finally, wholesale. The perception with wholesale is, oh, if I buy a bunch, I can get a discount, and then I can win the price game. I'm going to talk about all those different models and compare them to the replenishable model. Now, before I get into those other models, let me just break down as simply as I can the replenishable model, the replens as we call it. That's where we're going to start you off in the Proven Amazon course if you get started with this. What is that model? It's finding dozens or hundreds or thousands, or in many cases, tens of thousands. We've got students in our community with 100,000 plus products that they're tracking using software called 3P Mercury. We'll put a link to it in the show notes today. You can go back and listen to recent podcast episodes. You'll hear all kinds of people talking about how they use 3P Mercury to track their large catalog of ASINs. And that software, among many other features, tells you what to buy when. What makes the most sense right now today for me to invest some of my money, some of my inventory for cash inventory? What should I be buying today? The software tells you. So of the dozens or hundreds or thousands of products that I'm tracking with the software, which ones make the most sense right now based on facts, data, and evidence that the software is tracking for you? And you buy those products, you have them sent to yourself, or you have them sent to a prep center that slaps labels on it for you. You can slap the labels on it yourself, or you can have someone else do it for you. It goes off to Amazon where it's sold. And then based on your tracking of those ASINs and which ones you've put your money into, your money comes back to you, your profits come back to you. That's the model. That's replenishable model. Replens, we call it around here. So let's compress that now to where you never see or touch products. You can do it from home. You can shop online. You use software to make your big decisions. Take, for example, Kang, the guy that created the 3P Mercury software, a $3 million business with 2 workers running the entire show. He doesn't see or touch his inventory. He adds ASINs into the software. The software tells him what to buy. When he buys it, he doesn't use a prep center, a third party. He actually has it sent to his own space where one worker checks it in, flips it out to Amazon. Another worker, a VA, a virtual assistant, is managing all the other day-to-day details of the business. He's trained them. The 2 people run a $3 million business using 3P Mercury software. That's the model I'm talking about. I'm not talking about scurrying from store to store, scanning barcodes, looking for sales discounts, piling up a bunch of used, smelly books in the extra bedroom of your house. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about replenishable. That's how the business can be done. There's many different variations of it, but that's how simple it can be once you understand the basics and begin to scale into it. All right, so let's talk about the other ideas that I talked about. Books. I already hinted at it. Used books. Now, some people love starting with used books. I'm not against selling books on Amazon. Sometimes people, when they hear me contrast other business models to the replenishable model, they think I'm against these other models. I'm not. You shouldn't be either. There's people making tons of money in these other models, but you got to know what you're getting into and make sure you compare and contrast them to the alternatives. Because if you try to scale any of these other models that I'm talking about, you end up in a place that I'm not sure you want to be. Books, for example, what's it look like to scale book business to, say, $5,000 a month of spendable income? What's the reality of selling used books at that level? Well, you can't use FBA. You can't send your books into Amazon's warehouse. You just can't. Why not? Because the storage fees are going to destroy your profits. For every book that sells, you got dozens or hundreds of books that just aren't selling right now, but the storage fees are adding up. Now, back in the good old days, say 10 years ago or so, you could send thousands of books to Amazon FBA and let them just sit there till they sold. Not anymore. Storage fees will destroy you. So the only way to do used books now is to have a place to store them. And that means keeping them dry, keeping that room from getting smelly and musty, having a way to catalog all the books so when one sells, you can ship it fast. It means waiting. Typically books, used books can take months and months to sell, or years in some cases. It's just another product. But for some reason, it has this romanticized aura about used books. I think maybe that's because that's where Amazon started, was just as a used bookstore. So it still has this aura of, yeah, you can sell books on Amazon. It's just another product. It just so happens to be it's a product that you can't use the FBA network to sell anymore because they sit there so long that the storage fees destroy you. So you got to have a space. So people sometimes think, well, I've got some space. I could sell used books. That's easy. Used books are everywhere. Yes, they are. But it's a grind. It's a hustle. You just don't see people out there anymore saying, yep, I make a killing with books, unless they're in the top 1% of all booksellers, which we had one of those guys on the podcast. He's doing great. They run a company that has massive warehouses, and they buy books in bulk from all kinds of places, and they store them super cheap, and they have a great catalog system, and they sell tons of books. I would argue if you want to get into selling books, sell your books to those guys. Don't sell them one at a time on Amazon. Sell them to the book aggregators. We actually have a course inside the Proven Amazon Course Library. If you subscribe to the Proven Amazon Course at provenamazoncourse.com, just a few dollars per month. One of the course modules you get day one of the dozens and dozens of modules is how to sell used books in bulk to the book aggregators. Don't sell them one at a time on Amazon. Go through that module. It's called, I'll stick a link in the show notes, Safe Book Profits. That's the name of it. You can see a description of that course at provenamazoncourse.com/safebookprofits. Box your books up in bulk, sell them to an aggregator, and be done with used books. Don't go down that rabbit hole. It's the equivalent of deciding that you're going to run from yard sale to yard sale every day, finding as many things as you can and flip them. You end up with a death pile of inventory you just can't sell with that model. Everyone I know who did eBay at scale winds up with a massive death pile of stuff that they just can't sell. Books are no different. Collectibles, same thing. Now, maybe it's your passion, maybe it's your hobby, maybe you're really into it. That's great. I'm not trying to talk you out of a fun hobby that happens to monetize in a little bit of funds here and there. Maybe it's significant money. That's great. Enjoy your hobby. Enjoy your passion. Go to yard sales. Find those used fishing poles and sell them, whatever it is that you're into. I get it. Okay, that's great. Have fun. But it's not a scalable business that you can sell someday. It's just not. It's not an automatable system that you can turn over to a couple of assistants to run for you, where your only decision is how much money do I want to put in this week? It's just not. Selling collectibles, searching for them, flipping them, doesn't belong on Amazon. Here's a big reason why, and this goes for everything except used books, but everything else used, or you bought it at Goodwill, or you bought it from a yard sale, or your aunt gave it to you for Christmas 3 years ago and you never opened it. Don't sell that stuff on Amazon. Just don't. It's not worth the risk. Even if Amazon is encouraging you to do so, which strangely enough, they do, but you don't want to do it because Amazon at any given time in the future can come back and say, hey, remember when you sold that item, that XYZ widget 4.5 years ago? Do you have the receipt for that? Because we'd like to make sure that it was authorized inventory, that it was purchased from an authorized retailer, wholesaler, distributor, or website. We need to see that receipt. Otherwise, we're going to ding your account health because someone's accused you of selling counterfeit items on that ASIN. So we're going back and checking a bunch of your ASINs and all the way back through history. We're going to want to see some receipts and invoices to check the legitimacy of your inventory, to confirm with 100% confidence that you didn't sell anything counterfeit. And if you can't do that, it's going to ding your account health. It's going to be a bad thing for you on your account. What's that mean? Only buy from authorized sources. Now, some people are confused when I say authorized sources. That's not restrictive as much as you might think. Every Walmart store you walk into in the United States retail, every product on every shelf in there is authorized. Same with Target, Kroger, Costco, Sam's Club, all the big retailers. They're selling new items, new product that is completely authorized in the channel. The brand has authorized that store as part of their official channel. Same with their websites, target.com, for example. Now, caution, if you're buying from third parties on walmart.com, for example, that's not necessarily part of their authorized brand chain for the brands they're selling. But there's a very easy way to know if your distributor, wholesaler, website, retail store is authorized to sell the items they're selling. It's very easy to know. Ask the brand. That's it. Ask the brand that you're selling. You don't have to ask permission to sell it. That's not necessary. But you do have to ask, hey, I'm about to buy Legos from Kroger. Are they authorized to sell Legos? You can ask Lego this and they'll tell you. I hopped on Lego's website one time and just sent a customer support request. And within an hour, I got an answer back. Yes, Kroger is part of our authorized channel. You can buy as many Legos as you want there. And if Amazon says, I need to see the invoice or receipt for your purchase, you can show them a Kroger receipt. And what Amazon does is they call Lego or they email them and say, hey, we got a receipt here from a seller and claims they bought authorized inventory for your brand, Lego, from Kroger. Is that authorized inventory? Are they part of your channel? And Lego will go, yeah, Kroger's part of our channel, just like they told me when I purchased it. You're buying authorized inventory at that point. Your receipt or your invoice is 100% good. But if you sell products from yard sales, from gifts that didn't get opened or used products that you found at a thrift store, or it looks legitimate. It's still in the shrink wrap and Goodwill had one on the shelf, so I'm going to sell it. Nope, huge mistake. You do not have an invoice or a receipt proving that that inventory is from an authorized source. You could get yourself into big trouble. That's a lot of the reason that we're so hesitant on a lot of these other models, plus the fact that it means getting in your car, driving around, scanning barcodes, looking constantly for one or two or a handful of products at a time, and then going out next week and doing it all over again. You're not building a system. You're not building automation. You're not building an asset. You're building a very work-intensive hobby that happens to bring in some income. So we're not a big fan of the collectibles, the eBay model. I love eBay. We sell stuff on eBay all the time out of necessity. But I do not have an asset in my eBay business that I could pass to somebody else someday. I just don't hear those stories. If you've heard those stories, let me know. I haven't heard those stories of people selling their eBay business to someone else that takes over the whole thing, including the death pile, and runs with it. You haven't built an asset. You've built an income-producing hobby. I want you to build an asset. And of all the businesses that I'm listing out here today, there's only one where you're building an asset. You've got a catalog of products. You teach them how to pour more products into it. You show them the strategies that you're doing, and you're showing them how the software picks which ones make the most sense. Here's the team, the small team that runs it. Maybe you just use a prep center. In that case, you don't need a team. That's an asset that could be handed off to somebody else. A few hours of training, they're off to the races. They can run the business now. If you ever wanted to give it up for some reason, which I don't know why you would, it's a very profitable system. That's the replens system. All right, what else do we talk about? We talk about thrift stores, scanning barcodes. Some people, when they think that as a reseller on Amazon, what we do is we go to stores and scan barcodes. Well, a lot of people used to do it that way, and you still can. Scan a barcode, see what it's selling for on Amazon, pulling it off the Walmart store shelf or Target store shelf and comparing and going, oh, well, there's some profit here. That is not reselling. That's looking for bargains and discounts and quick flips. God bless you if that's what you want to do with your time. I don't know how anyone has the patience to do that anymore. And at scale, let's say you hustle, you put in 40, 50, 60 hours a week by yourself, maybe a small team of you. You're going to really hit it hard and go hard with that model, scanning barcodes, looking for sales, looking for discounts. I know people who did that. I know people who had $5 million businesses doing that. They were burnt out. They were frustrated. They were always complaining, always something going wrong. They would buy a truckload of some discounted product or merchandise or whatever, and then Amazon would gate them and they would be complaining and screaming and crying and moaning and saying Amazon is dead. Well, that's because you're doing it wrong. That's not the way the game is played. The factor that we haven't discussed yet that makes it so much less frustrating and intense when you're doing the replens model the way we teach it versus doing the model I just described of trying to buy bulk discount inventory is you're never going to get stuck with hundreds or even dozens of units of any inventory with the model we teach. We call it the inch deep, mile wide, meaning you're buying a few units at a time at whatever the software is telling you is most interesting to buy right now. You're not overcommitting. You're not going super deep. You're not going inch wide, mile deep into anything. You're not buying 500 or even 400, 300, 100, even 50 units of anything ever. It's just not necessary. Buy a few units of whatever the software tells you is hot right now. You'll sell through them, make a decision then if you want to buy more. And you've got thousands of products that you're tracking. It's a very low intense, low drama, doesn't keep you up at night business model that is filling a very massive need in Amazon's massive warehouse network. So the people that you hear are frustrated with reselling typically are doing one of the things that I've described so far. They're looking for sales and discounts. They're going in super deep and they've really committed to scanning barcodes and looking for sales, or they've gone really all in on one brand, for example, Nike. Like they become kings of Nike. They only source Nike. They go to all the stores and the outlets and they hit all the sales and they follow all the coupons and they're just Nike, 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 Nike. And they've got maybe 1,000 different Nike ASINs that they're selling against. And then one day they wake up and Nike said, hey, you know what? We don't need as many resellers. We worked with Amazon and we're going to cut our reseller community in half and you didn't make the cut. Those people go running and screaming to the internet saying how unfair Amazon is and how the opportunity is dead. No, nothing's changed. Those things happen all the time. Gates open, gates close, brands come, brands go. There's way more brands coming onto Amazon than there are exiting Amazon. I can tell you that. Way more brands ungating than they are gating any given day. Brands need resellers. Brands are good at making stuff. They use resellers and the selling channel to sell their stuff. And smart brands, especially the mid-size and up, they realize very quickly, hey, we need the reseller community. Nike, for example, has closed its gates and opened them, then closed them, then opened them, and then closed them. It's a back and forth thing. Why do they open them up again? Well, because brands make more money when the reselling channel is out there bringing their inventory to the Amazon platform. They just make more money. They make more sales. It clears their inventory through the system. It opens up more retail store shelf. If resellers are buying this stuff and throwing it on Amazon and it's selling, the retail stores have to order more. Makes sense, right? Whereas if Nike right now, they're in a phase of saying, hey, you know what? We're going to limit this. They're going to notice their inventory piling up in retail store shelves. And pretty soon, mark my words, Nike will be opening it back up again saying, hey, yeah, we need more resellers again. Our inventory is kind of stacking up in dark, dusty corners around the world of traditional retail. Come clear it out for us. These things come in waves. The opportunity is getting bigger and better. But if you go all in on one brand, don't be surprised if you wake up to some disappointing news one day and that brand happens to have closed. So the diversification of having multiple brands, multiple ASINs, dozens, hundreds, or even thousands of different products and brands and categories that you're selling in, huge opportunity. And that's where you're hearing so many success stories in other podcast episodes from people doing the business just like that. Finding dozens or hundreds of ASINs, any given research setting, and not making a buy decision right there, but pouring those viable ASINs into 3P Mercury software. And then the software tells the seller, that's you, when it's time to invest a little bit of money into which of the top ASINs that look the most attractive. That's the model. So let's talk about the last two models that I've talked about as private label and wholesale. A lot of new sellers come to us convinced that they want to skip the step of reselling. Yeah, reselling is small time. That's small potatoes. That's for the newbies. That's for the people who are really nervous and scared and don't know what they're doing with business. I want to skip right over that step. I want to do wholesale. I want to do private label. Let me talk to you about those two for just a second. Two completely different conversations, by the way. I'm not anti any of these business models. We've launched some of the most successful private label brands on Amazon out of this community. But what we don't do is throw you off the Olympic high dive when you're a toddler in diapers who's never swam before. That's the equivalent of having a new seller come to our community and say, I want to spend some money and launch a private label brand. That's the equivalent of us climbing up to the Olympic high dive at a swimming pool, a toddler in diapers with no floaties, and just saying, okay, have fun, just like all the other people who jump off this platform. It's just not a good idea. It's a horrible first experience. Matter of fact, we've got some statistics. 95% of the new sellers who jump into private label, launching their own brand on Amazon as their first adventure on Amazon, they wind up failing miserably. They wind up crashing and burning, feeling burnout. They get online and post horrible things about how terrible Amazon is and about how it's just a big scam and no one's making any money. And that's where you hear all these negatives, because they jumped in way over the head. Let's go back to the swimming pool analogy. What we do here is imagine the swim park where you've got everything from the blue foam with the 2 inches of warm water and all the babies, in their swim diapers sitting over the moms, falling over sideways on their ear. And if they tried to drown, they couldn't because they're in 2 inches of water. They're learning to swim though. They're getting wet. They're not spending a bunch of money. They're not going a mile deep on one product. They're playing around a little bit. They're experimenting. We call it the earning while you learn, getting used to the process. Now, you can go as fast as you want through the process of wading out to your waist, putting on your floaties under your armpits and sitting out there floating, getting your kickboard, blowing bubbles in the water. Now you're swimming in the lanes with the adults. Now you're going off the low dive and maybe even the 10-foot dive, doing flips maybe even, and now you're ready to climb up that Olympic platform and launch your own product and dive off the 30-foot dive. Right? We've got everything, and we'll take you through and we'll coach you at any given step. And you can go as fast as you want through those steps, by the way. but we're not going to start you off at the wrong place. So the equivalent model of having a replenish business that's fully automated is kind of being in the adult swim lanes. Nice, comfortable pace. You can do it at a comfortable pace that's fit for you. You don't have to worry about anyone jumping a cannonball on your head. It's set aside for the adults. You're not a swim diapers anymore. You're actually putting some money in the bank. You've actually got a real business, a stable business. It's not stressing you out every day, making really hard decisions. It's just a nice, predictable, steady. It's the equivalent of having a few thousand ASINs, 3P Mercury, and the software is telling you what to buy. You're using a prep center. You put the money in, you make your decision, you monitor your numbers. It's kind of like that. That's where we'd like to get you. That's the business that you're selling 30 to 50, 60, $80,000 a month. You've got net profit margins of 10, 15, 20%. Software is doing the heavy lifting. You're just finding more ASINs. You got a team of people handling the details. We want to get you there. It's not out of reach if you're ready to do the work and learn the process. It's just not. But if you're determined to launch your own brand, well, that's a good place to be. Then you can start experimenting. You know the landscape. You know what it's like to be in the pool. You're familiar with Amazon enough to the point where you're not making any really dumb decisions. You've maybe even noticed some gaps in the marketplace. Now you're positioned to begin having those conversations about launching your own brand. You've got some connections, some relationships. That's a good place to launch from. But if you're brand new and you say, I want to launch a private label brand, you'll find plenty of people who are willing to take your money. You find plenty of content out there convincing you that's the way to go, but you've got about a 5% chance of ever making any money. And odds are you're going to lose a lot of money. The number of stories we've heard, thousands, I'm not exaggerating, because remember, we've been doing this for over 20 years. We've been coaching Amazon for longer than anyone, 15 plus years. We've had thousands of students come through our program. We've heard literally thousands of scary stories of people who put $5,000 into a course, $10,000 into their first shipment, $20,000 into marketing and paid ads, et cetera, et cetera. And now what they've got is a garage full of stuff they can't sell and about $30,000 of debt that they wouldn't have had otherwise. We hear these stories all the time. It's not a set it and forget it, follow the steps, launch a successful brand. It's not that easy. Now, we are as equipped as anyone to help a brand gain momentum and launch and be successful. Like I said, we've done it many, many times for many of our clients. But if you're brand new to Amazon selling and you have no business background, you have no product yet that has momentum in the marketplace, you have no business getting into private label. You just don't. So that's comparing, contrasting that model to replenishing, where we want to start you, which is helping fill the underserved shelf space in Amazon's massive 200 plus warehouse network. What's the last one? Wholesale. Some people get all excited about wholesale, unnecessarily so. Wholesale is just another great way to source replens, in my opinion. That's all it will ever be. That's all it's ever been. See, think of Amazon this way. You're either selling a product that belongs to you, a brand that belongs to you, that you created, labeled, are responsible for, packaged, it's your brand, or you're selling a brand that belongs to someone else. Wholesale is just another way of selling a brand that belongs to someone else. It's another way to source inventory. The one advantage of it is when you need to get more of something, it's pretty easy to get more because you've got a catalog you go to and you order the units that you need. But it's not a necessity. It's certainly not a cheat code. It's not a shortcut. And it comes with a lot more work required, relationships and reaching out and establishing contacts and credibility and a track record. Those things count if you're going to have a wholesale business. So when newbies come to us and say, I want to skip reselling, I want to do wholesale, tells us they don't really understand how the world of reselling on Amazon works. There's only two ways to do it. Sell your own brand, which is virtually impossible for newbies, or sell products that belong to other people. And if you're going to sell products that belong to other people, brands that belong to other people, you might as well start off with the easily sourced retail and online sourcing as you learn the waters, rather than trying to reach out to wholesalers, establish credibility, get a credit, order products with the minimum order requirements and navigating the entire infrastructure that's required with wholesale, having a website for credibility so they know that you're a legitimate business, et cetera, on and on and on it goes. It's not like you're going to get a massive discount anyway. On the vast majority of products that you will get from the vast majority of wholesalers out there, unless you're going to place an order for thousands and thousands of units, which again is crazy because that's going an inch wide and a mile deep. So unless you're going to order thousands of units, you're going to be paying approximately the same price you'll pay at Walmart by walking into the retail store. So you're going to go try to play the wholesale game so you can save 25 cents a unit on stuff you're only going to be buying 5, 10, 15, 20 units at a time of anyway. No, complete waste of time to try to get into wholesale prematurely. Now, we have an incredible wholesale community within our Amazon selling community, and they do great, and they have great tools. There's great resources. There's people doing really well. There are advantages, but you don't want to start there. That's the equivalent. It's not the equivalent of throwing a toddler off the 30-foot Olympic high dive, but it's the equivalent of taking them over to the low dive, the 3-foot, springboard, and tossing them off of that. They're not going to have a good experience there either. They're not going to hit the water quite as hard. They're not going to be scarred for life, possibly, but they are going to have a bad experience. It's not going to be fun. Why not start simple, move as fast as you'd like through the different stages of learning to swim and learning to be independent in the water, and then learning to do some of the fancier stuff off the high dives. Take a few more risks that come with higher rewards once you're good at it. Yeah, that's great. That's kind of what wholesale is. So if you're new and you're thinking wholesale is the answer, it's not. It's not a magic formula. It's not an easy button for success. The lowest hanging fruit model we know, if there was an easy button, this is it. Low risk, low cost to get started. If you've got about $100 a month and you've got $500 to $1,000 or so, 500 to 1,000, right? $1,000 approximately total to put towards inventory, you are more than qualified. And even if you have a whole lot more money than that, this is where you should start. Experiment, wade in, get proof of concept, earn while you learn, and then ramp up as fast as you'd like. That's the replenishable model. That's where you should start. That's what we teach in the Proven Amazon course. Now you can go through the course yourself. Once you get into the Proven Amazon course community, we call it the PAC, P-A-C community, you have the option to get into a Kickstart class, which is very inexpensive, but it's a group coaching where we take you through, baby step you through the initial stages of getting your business set up, getting the software installed, that kind of thing. We handhold you through. You find that first product, you send it in, you see how the process works. For a few dollars, you can do that with a group of others. It's called the Kickstart program. silentjim.com/kickstart has the info on that. All new Proven Amazon course students are invited and encouraged to jump in if they want the accountability of doing it with a group. But once you've gone through that, then you have a choice. Do you want to do this yourself and find a few friends in the community and connections for accountability, maybe start a mastermind group? Or do you want to get a coach and go further faster one-on-one with someone on our team who's been there, done that at scale, who's built a beautiful business using the tools and strategies we teach, helping you along the path that they are now on? It's up to you at that point. Am I saying everyone needs coaching? Absolutely not. I will say you're crazy not to get training, though. There's a post in our Facebook group that helps illustrate this. Go to silentjim.com/mistakes. It's a list of about 15 things that you're probably going to do if you don't get good training. And all of them are mistakes that you'll regret. Some of them will permanently end your opportunity to be an Amazon seller. But instinctually, they're things that you're probably going to do. You're going to, without thinking, you're probably going to do it, such as selling that board game that your aunt gave you 3 years ago for Christmas that's still in the shrink wrap. You're going to sell that on Amazon thinking, yeah, that's legit, right? I mean, Amazon's encouraging me. Like, hey, got one like this, sell it, right? No. Because if Amazon comes back and says, hey, we need to see the receipt with your name on it, even if your aunt has the receipt, that's not good enough. It needs to have your credit card with your name on it. You're going to be accused of selling counterfeit goods and you can't prove that it's not counterfeit. That's a mistake you might make. So you got a list of those kinds of mistakes. You should go through that list. Hopefully that will convince you that it's worth spending a few dollars per month. Right now it's $39 per month for our full Amazon training library. That price is going to go up dramatically soon. It's been ridiculously too low, too long. I think people don't take us seriously sometimes because of the low price of our training content. But something that gives us credibility is the fact that as you're listening to this podcast, you can scroll back in time and see hundreds of successful Proven Amazon course students who have used these strategies to build, in many cases, 7-figure plus businesses. That's our credibility. But the price is going up soon. We've got a big team. We love to take care of them, provide you the most excellent service possible, which means we've got to pay really good people to do really good work. That's what's required to maintain that great library of content. But when you get into the Proven Amazon course, let me give you a tip. You're going to want to look for the Getting Started link. We'll take you right to it, but sometimes people miss it. Look for that Getting Started page. It's going to take you to the Getting Started roadmap. That roadmap takes you by the hand and walks you you check the boxes as you go, one step at a time through getting set up so that you do this business the right way. We want you to do it the right way. We want you to feel encouraged and inspired and equipped one step at a time. Once you get through those initial steps, a few doors of opportunity are open to you depending on preference and time and schedule and how monetized you are, that sort of thing. But getting through the baby steps is the same for everybody. So go through those steps. Consider getting into a Kickstart group. I'm going to put links to all of this in the show notes. You can reach out to us anytime in our Facebook group as well. If you have questions about any of this, we have 82,000 people in our free Facebook group, and we'd love to add you to our ranks. Go to silentjimdotcom and look for a link to our Facebook group. We were celebrating recently just past 82,000 members, voted consistently the #1 group for Amazon sellers in the world. We're so proud of that. That's independent, industry-wide voting, where this podcast and that group voted top of the industry. So you've made a good decision seeking us out, sticking it out here, checking out some of our content. You're going to see things are different here. One of the big differences we have, for example, is we throw all of our prospects. That's you if you've never bought anything before. Sorry to make it sound impersonal, but you're a prospect. We'd love to convince you to, if you're a good fit, if now's a good season of life, we'd love to convince you to get into some of this exciting business training. But if you've never spent money with us before, you're a prospect. But we throw you in the same group, wide open and free, as all of our high-end coaching clients. They all hang out together all day, every day. We love the transparency, the accountability, the interactive community that's developed there. And what you're going to see is a lot of support and encouragement and 3,000 plus success posts from other formerly clueless newbies who now have beautiful businesses, and many of them have been guests on this show. That's why we love that group. It's the only reason many of us even use Facebook, is because that group is such an easy place for us to connect. So I think we'll wrap it up there. It's been great hanging out with you today. Thank you for some of your valuable time. What we did today was contrast what we believe to be the lowest hanging fruit, lowest cost, lowest risk, highest window of opportunity business model with the highest odds of success to some of the other popular misconceptions about what it means to start selling on Amazon. There's many ways to get started. We want you to start the right way. That's what this episode was all about today. If you have any questions about any of this, please reach out. You can get on our calendar or text or call us anytime. There's details at silentjimdotcom/book a call. You can schedule a call on that page, or there's a number you can text us or call us anytime. We monitor those phones during business hours in the United States. Typically, you're going to get someone answering. We've got consultants who help our clients, our brand management clients, but they'll answer the phones, get you going in the right direction. It's nice just to talk to a human sometimes, right? We're here for you. Make it happen. The ball is in your court. We'd love to help you through the stages of growing a business you can be proud of and all the doors of opportunity that it opens up to you after that. Welcome to the community. Thanks for listening to this show. Hopefully I've helped talk you through some of your decision making about selling on Amazon. Reach out if you've got questions. God bless you, business building warrior. This show is for you. If you felt well served, hey, leave us a review. Share silentjim.com with a few friends. Tell them to check it out, see what they think. Go through this process together. Why not? It's a very low cost, low risk process to begin to launch a beautiful business online. We'd love to help you through the stages, along with some friends. That'd be cool, right? All right, we'll have some more good episodes for you very soon. Keep listening, keep checking in. We'll talk to you then.